With all the stories that the mainstream media has either been ignoring or downplaying this year, our lot over in the alternative media scene has been shining a light on so many stories. So we now turn to New Zealand, where a gigantic cyclone they've named Gabrielle hit the North Island of New Zealand way back earlier this month on the 6th of February that lasted 10 days. Now, according to the legacy media in New Zealand, only 11 have tragically died. However, thousands of people have gone missing since the cyclone hit. Joining me to unpack this is YouTuber by the name of Lingo Lewi, whose speciality is in language, hence the name Lingo. And he's been on the ground in New Zealand helping survivors rebuild in places such as Eskdale, I can never pronounce this, but we'll give it a go, Puketapu, and Hastings, all in the Hawke's Bay area. Thank you very much for joining me, Lou, and taking your time out. Firstly, I mean, this is an extremely horrific story, and it seems to be buried in the news completely. And I've heard that the media in New Zealand are downplaying this devastation. Is that correct?
Well, to start off, you pronounced it pretty spot on, so good on you. Yeah,
Nice one.
But yeah, 100%. It's just so sad to see how they've just completely just tried to ignore it or push it aside. And I've got family from overseas going, "What's like only 9 people died? That's not too bad." I'm like, well, the amount of supplies that we need and what's really going on here, like there's definitely a lot more. And just talking to people on ground, pilots, things like that, it's like they've seen more themselves personally. And then I've personally spoken to 5+ more people that have seen. Yeah, so it's like there's really, like, we can't even fathom how many bodies there are. It's hard to even say, because this is only a small part of the area that I've been to. I've only been to 4 different areas within this part of Hawke's Bay, and there's like a whole nother area that we can't get to after Eskdale. It's all closed off. The only way you can go in is flying on a chopper or a private plane or on a boat. Even then, it's restricted, so we've got no idea what's actually going on.
Oh, God bless you. Well, I'm glad you're safe as well. I've been watching the videos as well of you helping survivors, and we'll run those clips as well. So good work for that. Why do you think we're only hearing about this disaster now? How is this story only just reaching outside of the pond, do you reckon?
I got no idea. I just feel like, if they're already lying about the numbers from the get-go, then what else are they lying about? Could it be that this has been planned all along, or, there's so much more to it. For instance, all the pine trees that have come up on the beaches, they're all cuttings, so they're obviously all from the mountains. And so that's all actually barged through a lot of the homes and wiped out a lot of the things. It's not just the water, it's the leftover trees on the mountains that have come down as well.
Yeah. 75% of the country's 5 million population lives on the North Island, so it's a pretty big number. Livestock and the agricultural sector in general are facing extremely tough challenges, of course, from the devastation of this cyclone. I mean, it sounds like a silly question. How long do you think this is going to take to bring the north part of the country back to normality?
Yeah, no, it's a very good question. It's going to take a long time. Just as I mentioned, I've only seen a little snippet of what there was, including up in the Northland, and it's all food as well, mostly fruit and vegetable, and all the cattle that I've seen dead, and sheep and all that sort of thing. It's luckily a lot of the meat isn't grown here on these 2 parts of the country that got affected the most. It's mostly in the south, or in the center and the west. So. But in terms of, I think, fruit and veg, it's good. We're going to see some crazy prices in the next 6 months.
Yeah. I've heard reports from people in the rural areas in this North Island, people being robbed by gangs to survive. And obviously, I can't verify this personally, of course. I don't suppose you know anything about this at all.
Yeah, so the crew I'm currently here with and I've been helping with is they're called Man Up, and they're from Destiny's Church. They've actually put on security, night watch to put in those areas to make sure people are okay and that sort of thing. Seems like police aren't really doing the job. and people end up getting texts who live in those areas to say, you know, oh, we had a funeral of there's a funeral of a certain gang today. Please don't walk into these streets or whatnot. Yeah, people even they're being affected by the floods. They've gone in looting and stealing from them. I've heard people even they've gone up to them and hold them hostage while they take everything, and you know, it's
Gosh.
just an excuse to just go hard. Yeah.
Wow, I've heard that it's a completely different story for the cities in terms of the robbings. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, it just depends which part, because there's so much that's affected. Like that more countryside, there's not really gangs out that way. It's more, I would say, more in, you know, between like Hastings and Napier. So here where I am currently staying in Hastings, it's the flood hasn't really touched this area, but that's where the gangs are pretty much located.
Well, we'll keep ourselves updated with this. Honestly, Louis, thank you so much for coming on and sharing what's going on. I mean, a lot of people over this side of the pond have no idea that this is happening because we've not seen anything. So, yeah, thank you so much, Louis, for taking your time out for us. I really, really appreciate it. And please stay safe as well.
Sure, thank you so much, and no worries. Check out Zeb Jackson Live as well for more updates, and Man Up as well. They're doing really good here.
God bless, man. Thank you.